Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance, everybody. It's been a long time since I reacted to and or roasted Paul Gabriel from Everything Money because he has some very interesting perspectives on personal finance and investing. Number one, he's a massive hypocrite that has massively underperformed the market. He will never, ever, ever beat the market in his entire life. He shorted NVIDIA and lost millions of dollars of his family's money. He is an incompetent investor and a gambler, and he should not be worshipped as a financial influencer that he is. But because we live in an age of low IQ morons watching social media, Paul Gabriel gets a lot of love and support despite his investing failures, and he charges people for it. What a wonderful world we live in. God bless America. Anyway, he posted this interesting video that we're going to react to because you have to keep in mind, Paul Gabriel is a rich kid. He does not live a normal life. He does not have to work for his money. Daddy basically gave him his start, okay? And he, in his infinite wisdom, believes he can teach the masses about personal finance when he was just a rich kid. Oh, teach me, Richie Rich, teach me about personal finance. Just get money from your daddy, bro. It's so easy. So let's go ahead and react to this stupid video that Paul Gasnail, the manlet. Look at this guy.
Me and my wife's kids.
6 YouTube financial lies that keep you broke mentally. The utter irony. Okay. The utter irony. He's talking about YouTube financial lies. His whole channel is a lie. The whole purpose of stock picking is to beat the market. Why would you stock pick if you weren't going to beat the market? If you're listening to somebody that picks stocks and says you can pick stocks to beat the market, and then they massively underperform the market, and they massively underperform the market for all eternity because of one massive error, you should not listen to them. They're a clown. So let's see what old Mr. Manley, look at, he's got the dad bod, man. God, look at his gut. It's like expanding and his arms are contracting.
Hey, guys.
Guys, social media has absolutely ruined investing and money. There are so many idiots out there just saying absolutely false statements. I will say some of these statements are open to interpretation and could be opinion-based, but a lot of them say things that are incorrect. And here are the 6 that have irked me the most over the years. Some of them are similar, some of them are opinion-based, some of them are lifestyle-based. But I want to talk about these in order to get everybody to understand that don't just take what people on social media say to be truth.
Oh, it's too late for that, Paul. It is too late. Everybody just, oh, who has the biggest YouTube channel? Oh, he must be smart. I'm going to buy his course.
Wazza.
The first one, and this drives me absolutely nuts, and that effing idiot Robert Kiyosaki says this all the time. Your house is not an asset, it's a liability. Okay, why? Because you buy it and you pay property taxes and a mortgage and utilities? Sure, but guess what? When you're paying rent, you're paying somebody else's property taxes, mortgage, maintenance, all these other things.
Technically, a house is an asset. That is true. Okay, from an accounting perspective, yes, a house is an asset and the mortgage is a liability. Okay, and the difference between the two is your equity. But guess what? A home does not pay you. It is a money sink. If people fall into the error of home equals good, home prices always go up, therefore money paid in rent is bad, so I should just buy a house. When you buy a house, you got to pay for all the freaking repairs. My AC went out like a year ago, maybe a little bit less, and I had to pay like $2,500 to get it freaking fixed, okay? Anything that breaks in this house, I have to pay for it. When you're renting, you don't have to worry about massive expenses. You have a flat, fixed expense, and if something breaks, you call the landlord, and they're obligated to freaking fix it, okay? So if you're trying to save money for a down payment, maybe you should focus on that and rent. So you at least can budget properly, save, and then when you're ready, then you can buy a house. Okay, but don't just buy a house, bro. Because yes, it can be a money sink.
So if one is a liability because you're paying these things, and the other, what's that one? Not a liability? Well, Paul, you can move. Yeah, great. But at least when I own a home, I have an asset that I'm paying down debt on that's increasing in value. It's basically a
what if you bought in Florida? What if you bought in certain cities in Texas? A lot of homes in the house, they're sitting there's massive inventory. People can't sell their homes. What do you think that's going to lead to? Price declines. Okay? There's a ton of supply and not a lot of demand. Oh, I wonder what's going to happen. Homes can go down in price. Oh, it's just going to go up, bro. No, that's false. Homes can go down in price. So you buy a home, it drops in price. You probably bought too much freaking house. You're underwater. You can't sell it. You're cooked. Wait until you're ready and then buy a home and stay in it forever. It's that easy.
Forced savings account. Now, you got to understand, I don't believe everyone should own a home.
It is not a forced savings account. Look, how do you act a savings account? I can take money out of it. I have a savings account. I got a money market fund. I could just transfer money into my checking account whenever I want. How do you get money out of a home, Paul? You got to sell it, which has massive transaction costs, or you have to borrow against it. You're a clown. It is not a forced savings account. It is highly illiquid net worth.
I don't believe that's the thing we should be pushing on everybody. But to say it's not an asset is one, changing the entire definition of what an asset is. That's absolutely asinine. And two, okay, then do you own a car? Why do you own clothes? Go rent your clothes.
The point is you don't buy things that make money flow out. Okay? Yes, I know a car is an asset. Okay? I'm a CPA. You're just some rich kid. Yes, I understand a car is an asset. Guess what? I don't want to buy an expensive car, but it's an asset. But my money's flowing out. Okay? That's what, I mean, I'm not trying to defend Robert Kiyosaki. He's a grifter too. But I understand what he's trying to teach there, where you want to buy things that pay you instead of buying things that take money from you. Okay? That's the concept he's trying to teach. And that's actually not a bad concept at all. Homes are expensive. Cars are toxic. You should understand that. And don't let a rich kid, oh, homes just go up, bro. Yeah, okay.
You can rent clothes. You know that, right? There are ways to rent clothes. Women do it all the time on Rent the Runway or whatever it is.
Of course.
Now, that's an extreme because it doesn't have ongoing costs. But at the end of the day, let's not change this decision. Let's not change the definition of what a home is. A home is an asset. Accounting says it's an asset. Yes. Does it cost you money? Yeah. And I think people should understand the true cost of home ownership before getting into it. Because I'll hear a lot of people say, well, my rent's $1,200. I could buy a home for $1,200 for my mortgage payment. Well, yeah, but you do have other costs involved, and that should be factored in. But to sit there and say that is not an asset is absolutely one of the dumbest things out there. If you see people saying, and I'm not kidding about this one, there'll be other comments.
It's a nuanced discussion, okay? Yes, everybody knows it's an asset. But it's the nuance that you're just, oh, people are dumb, bro. They're trying to make a point, okay? If you're low IQ, but accounting says it's an asset, so it's an asset. That's not the point. God.
Here I say, you know what? Understand what they mean there. This one, avoid those people like the plague. I've literally never seen anybody say that the home is not an asset. I thought, you know what? I actually respect them, but I disagree. I absolutely do not respect anyone who says that. Second one, and this one makes me laugh because I see it all the time on Twitter. If you see two people driving down the road, one's got a Corolla, one's got a Mercedes. The guy in the Corolla is richer than the guy in the Mercedes.
Oh my God. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Here we go. You gotta have a nice car, bro. Look at my car, bro.
Shut the fuck up. Guys,
excuse me, you low IQ manlet that married a mom that had kids. You are married to your wife and your wife's kids. Oh, brutal. Look. When you buy a car, money flows out. You have a car payment. Your car depreciates. You're spending money that you could be investing. So yes, there's probably a correlation between somebody that drives a Corolla being rich and somebody that drives a sports car not being as rich. America is fake. America is all fake wealth. Everybody's flashing their nonsense, and they're playing into the consumerist American narrative that I spend money, therefore I am. That's not true. Yes, I'm richer than most people around my area, and I drive a freaking Ford Fiesta. That's right. I'm probably in the top 10% of my generation. and I drive a Ford Fiesta. When I see a moron driving a sports car that's my age, I laugh because they're a broke loser. It's almost true every time. Now, sure, if you go to a very rich area, I'm sure there's rich people that have nice cars. But the average person that has a nice car is a debt slave. Fact. He's thinking about his rich neighborhood. Oh, well, I got a nice car. I'm rich. Dude, that's like one little area in your little bubble that you live in. God. Did you buy a nice car, bruh?
I once trolled on Twitter, and you can probably see it on my Twitter sometime in the past, where I wrote, I was on the freeway exit. I was behind a Corolla where literally the muffler's falling off. It's rusted out. I took a picture and said, God, I think I found the richest person in Ohio here because this Corolla is so bad. He must be the richest person. Guys, yes, there are a lot of people out
Once again, he's missing nuance. He's so stupid.
there who try to live a lifestyle that they can't afford by buying.
That's most Americans, moron. Look at the savings rate. Most Americans are broke debt slaves. The data proves that. I don't care what kind of car you have. I don't care what kind of house you have. It's a lie. Everything's a lie in this country. Everything's fake. Fact. Okay? Take your stupid car, have fun, go drive around, and go be poor. I don't care. Make fun of my car all day. Guess what? I don't have a freaking car payment. I can save and buy a bunch of delicious VT whenever I freaking want to. Filth.
Mercedes when they should buy a Corolla. But to say the person who drives the Corolla is richer, guys, I know a lot of wealthy people. Guess how many of them own a Corolla? 0.
See, he's talking about a small sub. Yes, we all know if a billionaire is probably going to have a nice car. Okay? The ticket to success for an average person is and always will be reducing the amount of money you spend on cars. Cars are the death of finances. Cars are the devil. Do not buy an expensive car. If you wait until you actually have money, that's a different story. When you're young, don't be a moron and get a nice car. But what if the girls are going to like it? The girls don't care about your car. Are you hot? That's all that matters. And charismatic and fun. That's what they want. Your stupid car's not going to freaking matter. And if it does matter, kick the bimbo out and go get a new one.
Not a single one of them drives a Corolla. And when I say wealthy people, I don't mean somebody who is now a millionaire because they saved their home value, blah, blah, they're still in their 30s. I'm talking about like a real, true, wealthy person. Somebody who's got enough money where they can make whatever decisions they want.
I wonder how they built their wealth. I'm sure they just blew all their investable money on cars.
That is a wealthy person to me. They don't have to work. They don't drive Corollas. I'm sorry. My father is a very wealthy man. He drives a Grand Cherokee. Okay. He doesn't drive a Corolla. He's never driven a Corolla. He drove a Corolla one time. It was in 1987 when we had exactly $0 because we just come from from the Middle East and just moved to the US.
Are you a Muslim? What are you a Muslim?
That's when my dad had a Corolla. And as his income went up, he bought nicer cars. Now, a Grand Cherokee is not some crazy, stupid car, but guess what? I once saw Tom Brady driving a Grand Cherokee. Okay. It's a nice Grand Cherokee that he has. And he will drive nice cars. He's bought nice cars. He has a beautiful home. This whole idea that the person driving the Corolla is richer than the person in Mercedes.
It's teaching a lesson, moron. Nuance. But in my super rich neighborhood, shut up.
Come on. Now, if you go to a bad neighborhood or a neighborhood that's lower income and you see somebody driving a Mercedes and somebody driving a Corolla, I'd sit there and say probably their priorities are a little bit different.
Yes, because the people are talking to the average person, not the top 0.1%, clown, which is supposedly who you're trying to teach. Your audience isn't a bunch of rich people. I hope not. They'd be morons. They're going to lose all their freaking money.
And that's a good thing. But in general, give me a fucking break. Not a single person I know who's truly wealthy drives a Corolla.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my third statement. Spending is bad. That you're stupid for spending $5 on a cup of coffee. No.
No one says that, dude. No one says that. I go to Chipotle every day, okay? But being addicted to consumerism is bad. Money leaving. Not going to stocks. Going to stuff. Bad. That's the lesson. But that means that you can't buy a $5 latte. Yes, you can, moron. There's nothing wrong with that. It's part of your budget. But if you're spending ungodly amounts of money on a bunch of nonsense, yes, you're a broke loser, okay? A broke, pitiful loser, a fake rich clown. I don't know why this keeps shrinking every time I freaking click it.
It's priorities. I always tell people, if you just spend on everything to spend, that is dumb. If you're sacrificing your retirement in order to spend and get luxury items, that is dumb. If you're not able to save anything because you're too busy spending, that is dumb. But if you're...
That's what the average American does, moron. That's what they do. That's what people are trying to teach people. Yes, it's good advice. Stop blowing money on nonsense. You can splurge a little bit and have fun, but by God, you better not be spending every dime you make like most people do. Doesn't matter what their income is.
You're hitting all your goals financially. If you're saving enough, spend. Enjoy life.
Wow.
You only get a few times around the sun on this bad boy.
Wow.
Go enjoy what you're doing. Go travel. Go buy nice things that you like. Guys, I'll tell you, when I buy nice things, I value them more. That's absolutely a fact. I used to buy inexpensive things and I find myself just not caring about them. And now I probably spend the same amount of money, but I buy a lot less cheaper stuff and buy better quality stuff, quality over quantity, and I find myself enjoying things more. Just have your priorities in check. Understand that it's okay to spend money. If you in fact, let me give you a story. There's a lawyer I know who once we were talking and he said, anybody who has $1,000 pairs of shoes is an idiot. I looked at him and said, don't you own 2 private jets? He goes, well, yeah, but that's for business purposes. I said,
okay, well, that guy's a moron. But you know what? I don't need $1,000 pair of shoes. I don't. Okay. I bought my shoes at Walmart and I've been wearing them for 2.5 years. Nobody at my work cares. It doesn't matter. Oh, but it's $1,000 shoe. And then what else are you going to buy? It's $5,000 this and a $6,000 that. That's a lot of freaking money. That's almost a maxing your IRA. Okay. You can buy solid middle of the road stuff, but $1,000 pair of shoes. That's stupid. Okay. That is a huge opportunity cost. But I'm rich. So what's only $1,000? Yeah. As a percentage of your wealth, it's probably nothing. But for other people who don't have a lot of money, yes, when you're first building your wealth, you can't afford to buy expensive stuff. You might think you can because you're a moron, but you shouldn't be.
So, well, my time is valuable. No, you're still going to a meeting. You can work on the plane, whether you're flying private or if you're flying first class or coach. All he thought was, I don't value shoes and clothing, therefore nobody else should. Those 2 private jets were not shitty jets either. I guarantee he spends around $2
That guy's a clown too. You guys have a lot in common.
million to $3 million a year owning those planes. To me, that's just hypocrisy. Because you're criticizing somebody for owning I could buy 50 pairs of $1,000 shoes and it's less than one flight he takes from here to LA and back. And I buy $50,000 pairs of shoes. And guess what? When I buy a pair of shoes for $1,000, guess how long it lasts me? That's what I mean. That this is this world of what matters to you should matter to me. No. Now, if you sit there and buy $1,000 pair.
No, the lesson is the average person doesn't have a lot of investable income. Okay. They just don't. That's a fact. These morons on YouTube make you think everybody's rich. That's fake. Most people are brokies. A lot of the YouTubers are brokies. It's fake too. If you don't have a lot of investable income, you cannot blow it on expensive items. Focus on saving when you're young, let it compound, and the older you get, the more you can enjoy yourself. That's been my life trajectory. I was cheap when I was younger, and now I spend more and more and more. But guess what? I can, okay? Because I didn't have massive opportunity cost when I was younger. That's the lesson. Don't spend a lot. But my car, people will think I'm poor. Who cares? People are stupid. That's why his YouTube channel's big.
Of shoes and go, I wonder why I don't have enough money in my bank account. That's a problem. That is something you should think about. That's something that should make you go, wait a second. Am I sacrificing too much of my future for today? That's the question I want you asking. Number 4, I always see people on Twitter showing, this is why you got to invest in asset. Here's the value of the dollar over time. Yeah. Inflation is causing the value of the dollar to decrease. It doesn't buy as much. But guess what else is increasing? Your income. In fact, real incomes are up a ton. This is real income. This is after inflation. This after factors in. And guess what? 1985 to now, we have more after inflation income than we did before.
I wonder how that's distributed across the different percentiles. Okay. I bet you most of those income gains are going to the top. Oh, but real incomes are going up on average. Yeah, because it's probably unevenly distributed. The average person gets a normal 2-3% inflation raise if they're lucky. And inflation is sometimes a lot higher than that, especially recently. And over time, because they don't have a lot of investable income, they fall behind. If you're able to save, you can put money in capital and hopefully it outstrips inflation. Most people can't do that. A devaluing dollar does hurt middle class and lower. It's good for rich people and people have a lot of assets, but if you're lower class, it hurts you. It's a fact. Okay? But real wages are going up. For who? Look at the returns on capital. Look at the growth of labor, the value of labor. Yeah, I think capital's been winning since 1971.
Guys, every other stat in history going back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years shows that even after inflation, lives get better. Stop focusing on the devaluation of the dollar. Stop focusing on that. It's absolutely asinine. Focus on the real change in money. Is your income?
He's such a clown, dude. The average person goes to the store and that hurts them. Yes, inflation hurts middle class and lower. But for certain people that have fixed rate debt and a lot of assets, it doesn't hurt them at all. Or if they're in a high skilled career, they can demand higher wage growth than average. You're talking to a certain subset of the population, okay? You have to have nuance.
Income going, if the value of the dollar fell in half, but your income tripled, you'd be happy. Who cares about the devaluation of the dollar? What you should be worried about is the dollar fell in half and means my income only went up by 20%. That's a problem. And that will happen at times. Right there, right there, right there. But over long periods of time, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be able to buy more because your income is going to go up over time. Anyone who says otherwise is a moron. Stay away from them.
That's right, bro. Income just goes up, bro. Income just goes up, bro. Yeah. You're a moron if you disagree with me. Therefore, you disagree. Therefore, you're a moron. You know, I got a little fart for you, Paul. That's what I think about your opinions.
It's just these cool, cute talking points. This is why you got to buy assets, because the devaluation of the dollar is ruining this country. Okay. Yeah, debt is a problem for this country. But we're going to have it. We had inflation, even we had reasonable debt levels. The point is, your income is probably going to go up over time at a faster clip than inflation. Focus on that. Now, this next one, the fifth one, is...
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Is open to some sort of situational issues here. I've talked about this in the past. Everyone talks about you must have an emergency fund. I do not agree. I personally believe you should have a high credit card limit on one card that you only put a net.
This guy is evil. He still hasn't changed his mind on this? Yes, you need an emergency fund, but inflation doesn't matter. You need an emergency fund. You should not have everything in the stoink market, or God help you, a credit card with 25% frickin' interest. Are you mad? What is wrong with you? I'd rather have the opportunity cost of losing a little bit to inflation every year than have to live in a time where I go into debt slavery because I had to max out a frickin' credit card at 25% interest. That's when you really get in trouble. The opportunity cost of a money market is lower than the future cost of a catastrophe where you have to put something on a frickin' credit card. But stocks just go up, bro. No, they don't. And if the stock market goes down, what if we're in a recession? What if you lose your job? So stocks are down. You don't have a job anymore. You sell your stocks. You have to sell them at a loss or in a massive down market when you don't want to sell them. And then you put the rest on a credit card. Even if you have 10 grand in savings, it's better. It's better than nothing than a freaking credit card. God, this is so toxic.
Netflix charge on every month to keep it active. That's your emergency fund. Because guess what emergency funds are for? The key word here. This is what an emergency fund is for. You ready? Emergencies. How often should you have emergencies? Every few years. If you're...
Oh, it's like a clockwork, bro. It's 12:30 and then it's 12:45. And every few years you have an emergency. You don't know when an emergency is going to happen. You don't know. Do you think people before the Great Depression? Oh, you don't need savings. You don't need an emergency fund. Oh, and then the economy freaking collapses. The stock market implodes. What, 80%? You're unemployed. But emergencies only happen every few years. You don't know the future. You will sleep better at night having an emergency fund. It doesn't have to be half your freaking portfolio. And guess what? If you have an emergency fund, you can buy a CD, a money market, and you can make a little bit of return on it. And it's there when you need it. Because at some point, you will need it, especially if you're a freaking homeowner. There will be a day when I got to replace that freaking roof. And guess what? I'll have the cash. I don't have to put it on a credit card.
Your idea of an emergency is hot water tank goes out. Guys, that's $1,000 to $2,000.
What if you lose your job? What about all the AI firings that's been going on? No, you can't lose your job. What are you talking about? What? Oh, God. If you're worried about you losing your job to AI or something like that, or outsourcing, which is probably the real reason, guess what? You probably need an emergency fund.
You don't have that money. Emergency fund's not going to save you. That's not going to save you no matter what.
Yes, it will.
Emergency fund, people say, well, what if I lose my job and I don't have a job for 6 months? Go on the credit card for a couple of reasons. One, it's for an emergency. And two,
I have known people in credit card debt. Okay. They were a debt slave. They couldn't get out of it. They're trapped. Once you get into that cycle, you're cooked. Preempt the cycle because the interest is going to be so high, you can never pay it off. You're a debt slave. You never want to be in that scenario ever.
if you have to declare bankruptcy, your credit card is on there. But if you
go bankrupt,
sacrifice early from your retirement, your 401k, your IRA,
go bankrupt, bro.
You're taking money out of the most important time of your years. So for example, let's say you make $75,000 a year and you want to have 6 months of your spending in an emergency fund. Okay. After taxes, let's say you're left with 50 and you want to save 15% a year. So you're down to 42.5. That's how much you spend per year because it's your after tax income minus.
You don't need a year. Okay. But I mean, especially if you're self-employed, yeah, you might need more than a year. It's all dependent on the individual person, but you should have something. 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever. Oh, but you're missing out, bro. One catastrophe will wipe you out. But just go bankrupt, bro. Are you serious? This guy. Oh my God. I will never understand this.
Your savings, which is 42.5. Okay. 6 months with $21,000. Let's assume it's $20,000 just to keep it easy. How long does it take somebody to save $20,000? Making $50,000 a year, 3 to 4 years. You've now taken 3 to 4 years of the most important compounding of your life. And as your income goes up, you got to keep increasing that.
You could have a split. You could get the match of your 401k, build your emergency savings to a month or 2 or 3, and then over time, slowly build it up. You know, it's not like I must first save in my emergency and do nothing else, and then I finally will buy stocks after 3 years. No, you can have a match. Let's say you have a 5% match. You put in 5%. You're putting 10% of your pay into a 401k with the match total. Okay, so you're investing, and then you're taking a couple $100, putting it into an emergency fund. There's no problem there. When I first started out, I saved $10,000, and then I started investing hardcore. And I never had to worry about an emergency again. I don't stress. If I got a $5,000 bill tomorrow, would not care. I ain't putting it on a freaking credit card. I'll tell you that. Just go bankrupt, bro.
That's stupid. Guys, everybody knows somebody who probably needed an emergency fund at some point in their life.
Yeah.
But it's not everybody.
Yeah.
And guess what? You have family, you have friends. If you're responsible, your friends and family will help you.
I'd be like, oh, wait, so you didn't have an emergency fund because you listened to Paul Gabriel and you want me to bail you out? Lick my balls.
It's okay to ask for help. But to take money out of the most important time of your life is very, very, very
Just grift somebody else, bro.
bad financially. Go do it, but you're sacrificing money down the road. I shouldn't say it's bad.
So somebody else could have an emergency fund, but I'm just going to invest all my money, and then they could bail me out when I'm in trouble. Like, what a grift, dude. What a grifter.
But I want you to understand the numbers behind it. You are absolutely sacrificing. But if you need that to sleep at night, I will never argue about it. Ever. Ever. If you need that to sleep at night, as long as you understand that you're sacrificing part of your future.
You sacrifice more shorting NVIDIA, moron.
That's the important part here. The final one, and this is a big one. Debt is bad. No, debt is not bad. Credit card debt, bad. If you're
He literally just said, put your emergency, use your credit card as an emergency fund. And then now he's saying credit card debt is bad. You can't make this up. You can't make this up.
living off a credit card to pay your bills, that is bad. If every single time you want a car, you have to sit there and take a 84-month loan to pay for the car because you can't afford it, that is bad.
Man, weren't we just talking about that earlier too? What's going on here?
Mortgage, not bad. Especially when rates are 3%. But even now it's 6.25, 6.5. Over a 30-year period of time, you can beat that. So you shouldn't be paying your debt off quickly. Use somebody else's money to go reinvest. If you have a mortgage.
It depends on the rate. It all depends on the rate. 3% mortgage, yes, I agree. You should not pay it off fast. 6, 7%, I don't see the problem throwing an extra couple $100 a month at it. Because, yeah, you might beat 7%, but I mean, that's an after-tax return, which maybe you won't beat 7%. I don't know. But that's a guaranteed return, a guaranteed saving, because you're chipping away at the principal and your interest is calculated based on the principal. And if you have 7 or 8% interest, that's more of a fair trade, potentially. A couple of $100 a month, $200 a month. I personally don't pay off my mortgage because I have a 2.89% rate. But if mine was 6 or 7, yeah, I'd probably throw a couple $100 a month at it. No problem whatsoever. Okay? Especially in today's rate environment. Oh, emergency fund, credit card. Oh, credit cards are bad.
Get to 6.25 and you can invest and get a 10% return. When you pay off the 6.25 early, you're losing.
The 6.25 is guaranteed. The 10% that's a pre-tax yield, and it's not guaranteed. It's a judgment call. Oh, but you'll get 10%. Look at the historical returns. Irrelevant.
10%. So you're losing 3.75%. The difference between what you can earn and what you're paying.
Oh.
Now, if it's a short-term loan, like a car loan, things like that, you have 7 or 8, please pay it off. Get rid of it, especially if you're the kind of person who wants to keep cars for a long time. But don't consider all debt bad. Not all debt is bad. You know, it's funny. Somebody recently said to me, Paul, you have all this real estate. Why do you keep refinancing? I'm like, because I want to take the money and go make more with it. Well, why don't you just pay it off and you'll have all this other income? I'm like, because I want to go sell. If I go refinance it, take the cash, that's tax-free, and go buy more real estate, I can grow my portfolio and make more money that way. That's what's important to understand.
I hope the housing market implodes and he goes bankrupt.
So guys, these are only 6 things and there's a ton of them. But when I see these things on social media, it absolutely makes me cringe. It is the most awful stuff to sit there and say. Now, guys, these are certain mindsets that I want people to have going into it. You might not agree with me on these. And by the way, if you don't, right below, I really want to hear, like, what's the...
I wish I could write below, but you banned me like a little bussy. Freaking loser. All right, let's do some comments, and then we'll close this out. We're doing member-only comments. You got to be a member. I don't answer your comments. You don't like it, call a lawyer. If you want me to answer your comment, guess what? Super chat me. But I will answer Cole's because I know him in person. Sue me. Fill me in quick. Did he say? Yep, he did. He did. Why do you have an emergency fund, Cole? Are you stupid? Look. The guy that drives the BMW around your neighborhood, your normal neighborhood, is a loser, and he's rich, and you're poor. Social media isn't real. Yes, and the sky is blue. Everything's fake. Investing is his hobby. He has 78 businesses upstairs. Daddy. A home is an asset in terms of it saves you rent, but it differs from a stock. That having a $200,000 house for $1 million house doesn't help you. That is true. You have to sell it or take a loan against it to access the money. It's a forced savings account. It's different than a savings account. The idea of renting being a waste of money is stupid. Staying somewhere always costs something. Yeah, you have fixed expenses when you rent. When you have a home, you can't really predict the expenses. They're random. Oh, my light went out. Call the landlord. You own the home, you got to fix the light. You don't know when the freaking light's going to go out. Oh, my AC just broke. $2,500. If you want a stable budget while you're saving to achieve a goal, it's not necessarily a bad thing to rent. Okay? And homes don't always go up. Wow, bro, don't judge strong, man. Okay. What does he call me? Yo, he called me fat. Oh, you're fat. You're bald and you're fat. Oh, poop, lol. It's like people who think whole life insurance. Oh, God, don't even get me started on whole life. Yeah, don't treat a car like a good asset. Cars are the devil. Cars are the devil. Have you ever checked on Remit? The guy has some funky takes, too. I've heard about him. At least he's not talking about Prius drivers. I actually drove a Prius, the newer model. It's not bad. Rip Seth. Yeah, our boy. He'll live on forever in our hearts. Leverage on a depreciating asset is dumb. Cars are toxic. I agree with Caleb that not having an emergency fund is an emergency. Too many brokies end up taking out loans from payday lenders or family members. Yes, you will experience a disaster if you don't have an emergency fund. Family loans are generally bad because they change. Exactly. Do not. I'm just going to borrow from my family, bro. I'm just going to grift somebody else. Grifter. If she cares about your car, exactly. And some of them do. And then that's a good screening tool if they're obsessed with your freaking car.
What kind of car do you drive? Oh, you must be poor. How about Jaleel? He's got a Mustang.
Go have fun with Jaleel. Did you panic? Sell, ZVRA. We're talking about stoinks here. By the way, you were smart not to remove your membership, brother. Paul is getting shorter. You should be charging Strongman for the great advice you give him on how to run a YouTube channel, or at least, yeah, Alan Carlson believes I'm a full-time YouTuber. You need to do this, and you need to do that. I got kids. I got a job. I got a business. Lick my balls. Okay? I'm not Jeremy LaFave just sitting around his house all day. Dude's got nothing else to do. I got stuff to do. I got you back in too early. Yeah, what is bad is always putting stuff in consumerism over asset ownership. That's the problem with America. Everybody's a brokey. Everybody's fake. Paul means live today, worry tomorrow. Paul means live today, worry tomorrow. I did that in my 20s. Your 20s is the best time to save money. That will make you or break you. If you can save a decent amount in your 20s, you're set for the rest of your life. A fancy watch is an emergency fund. You can sell it. It helps you network. Nobody cares about your watch, dude. If you're that's why I don't want to work for a corporation. Oh, you got to have nice shoes and you got to have your watch. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Shut up. Watch. I have a phone. The point is not to ever use an emergency fund. If you play your cards right, there isn't a need to use your emergency fund. Walmart shoes. Dude, I've had the same pair of Walmart shoes since I started my job. I spent like $20 on them, and they look fine. And I'm actually probably the best dressed person in my office. Oh, you gotta have $1,000 pair of shoes. A fancy watch can no, that's not how that works. Are you hot, funny, charismatic? That's how you get cheeks. And if she doesn't think you're hot, you're not getting the cheeks. Doesn't matter if you have a nice freaking watch. Imagine some inkwell with a watch.
Yeah, I got a watch. You want to come home with me? Yeah.
Yep, you need cash, stable coins. And you don't need a huge amount, but you need some reserves. Have you ever tried to sell a watch? Yep. You'll be surprised how fast it can sell. I've walked by a Rolex store before, but to be honest, I'd rather buy C&Q shares by the hundreds. I just don't really need a lot of stuff. I've never been into consumerism, ever. I've never been into consumerism. If you have a Rolex, there is a watch dealers that will hold it for you and loan you $10K for an emergency fund. Oh, yeah, take a loan from a loan shark. I need an extra Tylenol after this. Are you pregnant? That takes less than a day. Car insurance, unless you're a woman. That was pretty funny. If I had to pick which one to build first, a fancy watch or an emergency fund, I'd pick the fancy. Oh my God, Gil, stop. That is no. You do not. You buy the emergency. You get the emergency fund, and then you get the watch. You know, we're probably in a bubble when a CMT, a big bank, has returned a total of 115% over the past. Look, stocks just go up forever in vertical lines into infinity. Brokies aren't listening to a rich guy on how to be rich. Are you falling for this again? Imagine being a brokey who doesn't listen to a rich guy who was born rich, or how rich people make moves. His daddy makes moves. Yep, emergency credit card is clown. He literally lost millions. He's a gambling child. But he's rich. I've dealt with this attitude all 5 years I've been on this stupid platform. He's got money, so he's smart. 6 months of living. I had about 3 in there, and then now that I'm becoming self-employed, and that's another thing, self-employed, yeah, you definitely need an emergency fund because your income is sporadic. God. 79 people, raise your hand how often you've had to use an emergency fund, how many times you've used one. Clowns. Exactly, most people have never used an emergency. Who raised their, how do you know who's raising their hands? Well, I haven't lost my job yet. But Canada's job market is not. But yeah, if the job market isn't doing well and there's all these AI layoffs, you might find yourself unemployed, and you'll feel a lot better if you have $20,000 or $30,000 in liquid capital. You feel infinitely better, and you don't have to sell your stocks. But now that I think about it, I have some dental bills in 2022 before I had insurance and holding some extra cash for my first paychecks. Yep, exactly. I had a credit card limit of 600 Canadian dollars at the time, so even that wouldn't have been enough. Bro, just get another credit card. My Corolla is an emergency fund. Your assets are your emergency. Why would you sell your stocks? If there's an emergency, it's probably because we're in a bear market and people are getting laid off and there's some kind of economic problem. So you have to sell your stocks massively down at the worst time. He's not saying to use your credit card all the time. He's saying you will get trapped into debt slavery. People cannot get out of debt. I've seen it. It's evil. You're twisting his words. How am I twisting his words? He literally said, you don't need an emergency fund, that you should put it on a credit card and you can just declare bankruptcy or just borrow from your family. That's the worst advice I ever heard. Most brokies can't borrow. That's true. A credit card is a bad idea, but if you have good credit, you can get a 12 to 18-month interest-free card. That is, if you could get interest-free, that's a different story, but you better hope you can. You're one of the very few smart strongman viewers. Oh, yeah, the geniuses. Alan Carlson. Pants wrong. When are you doing the dividend stocks video? It keeps getting... I got to prepare a presentation. I want it to be more of a serious video. And I made plans tonight, so I thought I was free tonight, but I got stuff to do. Did Steph pass away? I don't think he passed away. We have common sense. Whoa. I only talk to people if their watch is over 10K. Some people think like that too. It's like people laugh at me because I drive a Ford Fiesta and I have like 20 times the net worth they do. That's the level of clown that we're dealing with. On average, people are that stupid and they will be forever poor. And when I'm old and rich and balling, I can do whatever I want and I can travel, I can hang out with my grandkids, I'm going to be laughing at you, and I'm not going to feel an ounce of sympathy for all you freaking clowns. But I had a nice car. F you. Yeah. What's up, Andrew? We're both working on a Saturday. Well, I mean, I guess this counts as working. I don't know. Get back to work. Oh, he's back. He's back. Welcome to the membership, good sir. Keyword can. Keyword, you need to not be an inkwell. What kind of fancy watch? Rolex is the first starter watch anyone should aim for. You know what a good watch is? A nice, like, $150, $200 military watch. Okay? I used to have a watch when I was in the Army, and they're rugged, and they work. They got, like, a little compass in them. They're awesome. A Rolex. What is that? I'd rather have a dependable watch I could just wear out in the rain. If you don't have a Rolex by 21, you're a loser. You'd have at least 5 APs by the time you're 28. I used it twice when I was first out of college, had an $1,100 repair, was out of a job for 2 months. Exactly. That can happen to people. You are vulnerable. When you're first starting out, you're vulnerable. You need an emergency fund. Once you have it established, then you can invest every dime you make. That's what I do. I have my emergency fund. Now every dime that I make, I throw it to investments. I don't have to worry about it. But if you don't have the emergency fund, you could be cooked. Exactly. Good point. You could have had transport, even though that wasn't a true emergency. I've seen people in debt slavery. It's not good. It would have been annoying riding the bus for a few hours. Just the watch. Small is the goat. Yes, he's such a goat. He looks like a goat. Use a firm to buy a watch. Fun fact, a girl was trying to ask me a dumb question once, and a guy said, "Be quiet, babe. Just listen to him. Look at his watch. He knows what he's talking about." Gil, that never happened. Come on, bro. That never happened. I do have a funny story about zodiac signs, though, but I'll save that for another video. True story. Yes, you shouldn't talk when the men are speaking. Buy a Casio income fund. Yeah, just have a dividend fund, bro. Just have yield max and you'll get paid every day or something. You think I'm listening to a woman asking me a question? All right. Well, welcome back to the membership, Andrew. Everybody like, subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Consider booking a free 30-minute tax consultation. I actually have a consultation in 5 minutes. I almost forgot. Anyway, you can book a free 30-minute tax consultation. I'll talk to you for free. I'll give you an upfront quote for tax preparation, and you'll allow me to do your taxes, business or personal, any state in the United States. Yes, I am a CPA. Yes, I am a genius. And you guys have a wonderful night. Cheers.